Hello, everyone. This is Patrick again with Hotspawn at Last Time 4 in Singapore. How you doing, man?
Good.
All right, Davai. So you're someone that made a name for himself in the North American scene, specifically when the DPC was still around. Would you say that it was effective at what it set out to do in its rather short existence?
I think so, yeah. I think when DPC came out, the goal was kind of to provide like a stepping stone for tier 2 players and also like make the system more, I would say, regular and just have like a solid structure for the competitive scene. I think the solid structure for the competitive scene part was a bit overdone maybe. I think the top teams probably had to play DPC for too much of the year. It wasn't very practical for them, but I think for the tier 2 team, there were only benefits.
Yeah. So in that sense, what would you say were, like, let's say the 2 or 3 most important lessons that the DPC taught you as an up and coming player at the time?
I played DPC for quite a while. I think it was almost 2 years.
Yeah.
So I learned many things. I can't just reduce them to a few lessons I took because I think it was like the first half of my career as a pro player was during DPC.
Okay, so talk me through the process of how you got signed by a South American team, that being HEROIC, after playing mostly for NA teams during your career. How'd that come about in your first stint with them in 2024?
Yeah, so I played in NA, I played in some European teams, narrowly missed out on TI 2023, I believe. My team, Luna Galaxy, then again D2 Hustlers. We kind of been falling apart. People got poached. I was the last one left, and HEROIC was a new South American team, being made, and they were looking for an offlaner. They didn't have too many options in South America, so they started looking for other options. Then they approached me, and then I told them, by the way, I can speak some Spanish, and I can definitely like improve and learn some Spanish, and that made pretty easy for them to get me on board.
Okay, because I was gonna ask as a follow-up, was like, have there been any sort of communication issues between you and the team? Like, I know this isn't your first time playing for the organization, but I'm just curious to know how it goes when you guys communicated with each other, how the shot calling works.
Of course, yeah, Schofield doesn't speak English, so for him to understand it, he understands some English, but mostly we speak in Spanish, so he understands. I speak Spanish in lane with him. My Spanish isn't perfect. There's always going to be some kind of language/cultural barrier, of course. I think for most international teams, that's the case. But yeah, our team comms are mostly a mix of English and Spanish.
Okay. It seems to be working really well, I'd say. According to an interview between you and fellow journalist Sayang earlier this year, your mom was supportive of your choice to become a pro gamer, but your dad was a little more conservative in this regard. Has your dad come around to the idea of you playing video games professionally since then?
Oh yeah, like I started, making the first real paychecks, like the DPC money came rolling and stuff. I mean, it wasn't much at the beginning, but still, it was enough to kind of justify what I was doing.
Oh, great. And actually, as a Southeast Asian, I know what it's like to have parents that might not necessarily like, non-traditional career paths like esports. But for you as a Belgian American, is there anything that you would say might be similar in that sense between your culture and Asian culture, knowing what your dad thought of your choice of career?
I can see it, because my dad's side of the family is like, to them, like ideally you want to pursue an academic career, and I was interested in that as well. Like I studied history for a year and a half in university. It was interesting, but finally I just decided I wanted to try going pro in Dota, and the only way to do it was just to quit studying.
You dove right in, and it's been working out. But do you plan on maybe going back to school in the future?
Maybe. I mean, when I studied history, there was a guy. He was like 40 years old, and he had like his own taxi company. And he said, "Oh well, I sold my taxi company, and I started studying history again." I was like, "Wow, it's a cool story."
Interesting.
Like making the decision to like turn your life around when you're You know, like as a Half-Life crisis, but it's pretty inspirational. So who knows? Who knows?
Yeah,
After I'm done with Dota, there's I have a whole new life to start.
absolutely. Okay, so moving on to your current stint with Heroic, you guys have been killing it to start the season, and you haven't even had to radically change the team's identity in the process. In your opinion, what is the biggest reason you've got so much momentum so early in the year?
I think everyone is just playing really well. I think just that the team just has very good players. I think everyone is playing at a really high level. I think like the team just has a very good idea of what to do, how to play the game, confidence in our ideas. Of course, there's also a bit of a honeymoon phase as well. I think we just came. I just joined the team, so it's not it's not that hard to if as long as you keep winning, it's it stays easy. I mean, we already had like ups and downs in the last tournament, but overall, we're still like on a positive path.
Yeah, I'd say
it makes
so.
it easier.
Okay, last question. You and the rest of your teammates are famous around the Dota world for having one of the deepest collective hero pools in the competitive scene. When you all talk about which heroes to draft, how do you know when to lean hard into that depth and when to keep it simple?
That's all right. I used to be. I actually changed. Like I think a year ago, I used to want to have as broad of a hero pool as possible. Now I more believe in keeping things simple a little more sometimes. It kind of depends on the person because like every one of us has a bit of a different opinion on on how their hero pool should look like. But in the end, it's our coach Kafs that makes the final decision and tries to manage how we draft.
Is there have there been moments where your teammates dipped into that hero pool and then you realize oh, I think we might have overcooked the draft a little bit?
For sure, it happens. If you try and do the things that we do in drafts, then of course sometimes you're going to overcook and you're going to end up shooting yourself in the foot. But it's worth it.
Extending that to pub play, is there any piece of advice that you can give us regular pub players on how not to overthink that side of the game?
I think for regular players, just keep your hero pool simple. Play 6 to 8, maybe 10 heroes. Get comfortable with those heroes.
And they say that's the secret to gaining MMR, right? Just
for sure, exactly. A lot of high MMR players, they only play 3 or 4 heroes.
All right. Well, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much again for your time, Davai.
Thank you.